The year was 1996. Michael Schumacher, the reigning two-time world champion, chose the road less traveled. Instead of going to Williams, a team that had been consistently winning championships in the last decade, or McLaren that had dominated the late 80s with Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost, Michael Schumacher went to the less fancied, more political, and more combustible Ferrari. Yes, he went to the road less traveled. The German, a two-time world champion at that time, and arguably the undisputed best driver on the grid, chose a team that had not won a title in 17 years. Why? Because he saw potential. Why? Because he saw what the team could do. In 2006, after spending almost a decade with Ferrari, Michael Schumacher retired by adding 5 more world championships to his already illustrious career. A career that made Ferrari an icon. A career that turned Ferrari into arguably one of the most recognizable brands in the world. The German retired after losing the World Championship battle from Fernando Alonso in 2006. It's been 17 years since Michael Schumacher retired from the sport for the first time. Since then, Ferrari has only one title to boast of. A title it won in 2007 with Kimi Raikkonen in a team that was primarily constructed, molded, shaped, and transformed by Michael Schumacher. Since 2007, Ferrari does not have a single title to boast of. Since then, there have been multiple runner-up positions. Since then, there have been multiple cases of team coming close to a title but never winning. And since then, the team has been a political turmoil. However, when we talk about Michael Schumacher, it's not what happened to Ferrari once he retired. It is what was going on at Ferrari before he even joined the team. In the last 44 years, there has been only one driver able to achieve and have a sustained level of success with Ferrari. That man is Michael Schumacher. And with every Ferrari failure of winning a title, Michael Schumacher's GOAT legacy, the legacy of him being the greatest of all time, it becomes even more impressive. Now, there are many that would take umbrage with the use of the term GOAT. Well, in my view, he is the greatest of all time. If you don't agree, well, let's use the term one of the greatest of all time if that works for you. Having said that, one thing does not change. Michael Schumacher's success at Ferrari is unprecedented. How? Let's take a look. Now, one of the more interesting factors about Ferrari during this 44-year period from 1979 to 2023 is the fact that the team was never devoid of talent. When we sit back and think about the kind of drivers that drove for this team, it will make you think how is it possible that this team was not able to achieve the kind of success that the kind of talent should guarantee. The team had Gilles Villeneuve in 1980s. Then it had Nigel Mansell, a world champion in his right. Then it had Alain Prost, a multiple world champion, someone who was called the Professor in his career. Even he wasn't able to achieve the kind of success that Michael Schumacher did. Then in 1996, Michael Schumacher came, and he had a 10-year run of Ferrari being a competitive front-running team. When Michael Schumacher retired, we had Kimi Raikkonen winning the world championship and then just fading away. Fernando Alonso, well, he flirted with the title twice, but he wasn't able to achieve the success. Then Sebastian Vettel, a 4-time world champion, arguably the best driver in the early 2010s. He could not achieve the success. And now we have Charles Leclerc, another pristine talent, someone who is considered by many as the best qualifier on the grid. Even for him, success has been elusive. No driver, despite having such kind of talent, was able to achieve the success that Michael Schumacher did. When you talk about the multiple reigns of failure for multiple world champions that had driven for Ferrari in the last 44 years, what stands out is one name, Michael Schumacher. Now, the bigger question, what makes Michael Schumacher's success at Ferrari more special? Well, what makes it more special, and arguably something that stands out for him as compared to every other driver or any other individual that has achieved any level of success in Formula 1, it is the fact that Michael chose the path less traveled. In 1996, he had the option to go to Williams, a team that had Adrian Newey, a team that was producing dominant cars. He had the option to go to McLaren, a team that was Well, an unstoppable force with Alain Prost and Ayrton Senna in 1980s and early 1990s. He even had the option of continuing with Benetton, a team with which he had won the last two titles in F1. Yet, he chose the path less traveled. He went to Ferrari. And it wasn't as if he had the success overnight. He had to toil hard for it. He had to bring in people like Ross Brawn and Rory Byrne. Ultimately, it was the fact that Michael Schumacher and the team around him, including Ross Brawn, Jean Todt, Rory Byrne, they transformed Ferrari, and it took 4 years. It was only after the hard work and determination and dedication of 4 years that Michael Schumacher eventually was able to win the title in 2000. Even in the present day and age, no driver thinks this long term, and no driver has shown the ability to develop a team from scratch and build it into a championship winning outfit. No driver has done that. Fernando Alonso tried it with Ferrari, he failed. Sebastian Vettel failed miserably. Then we had Fernando Alonso trying it again with McLaren. He could not get that done. Even in the past, we've seen Alain Prost fail to do that with Ferrari, or Nigel Mansell fail to do it with McLaren. It's not every driver's cup of tea to transform a team into a championship winning juggernaut. And only Michael Schumacher has been able to get that done. Sure, Lewis Hamilton, he achieved a prolonged period of success with Mercedes. And kudos to him. He was able to identify Mercedes as the next frontrunner at the end of 2012. He moved to Mercedes in 2013, achieved decent success, and then from 2014, he started to dominate. The fact that the team had 8 years of sustained, prolonged championship winning pedigree, a part of that credit also goes to Lewis Hamilton. But it's also safe to say that Lewis Hamilton was not involved in the transformation of Mercedes into a frontrunner. By the time he reached Mercedes, the team was on its way and most of the job was done. Coming back to Michael, what makes him special is the fact that in 1996, he had the option to do what almost every driver in the history of Formula 1 has done, to go to the fastest team and win the world championships that were there on offer. He did not do that. He went to the team where he saw a long-term potential, and he toiled hard for 4 years to ultimately achieve that. That is what makes him arguably one of the greatest drivers in the history of the sport.
When Michael was amazing, even when it was really bad, you know, Michael really worked with Todd to hold the whole thing together. Amazing character there. But the thing about Michael is, Vettel's a bloody good driver, but Michael was another level. Lewis is a bloody good driver, but Michael was another level, and everybody knew Michael was another level. Like you say today, who's the best, Vettel, Alonso, or Hamilton, and it's purely down to your personal taste, probably. In my day, as soon as Senna was dead, there was Michael, and until Alonso kind of came up, where Michael was obviously getting older, and Alonso was the young, hungry wolf. Up until that very moment, no one ever questioned that it was ever Michael's fault. Because it was never Michael's fault, because no one drove a car as well as Michael Schumacher drove a car. So, and I think that's what helped that whole Ferrari situation back then, because they never pointed the finger at Michael.
Yeah.
Rightly so, because it was not his fault.
Now, finally, talking about his driving. I think it's safe to say that there are many that would not call him the greatest of all time. If it's a subjective term, I don't disagree. In my view, he is the GOAT. In many others, it might be Lewis, it might be Senna, it might be Alain Prost, it might be Fangio, it might be someone else. But the thing is, at least everyone should agree that he is one of the greatest drivers of all time. And when we talk about why he is one of the greatest drivers of all time, it stands out that in 1994, after Ayrton Senna's untimely death, Michael Schumacher was the benchmark of the entire grid. And until 2004, when he won his 5th World Championship with Ferrari, he was the gold standard. He was the most sought after driver on the grid, and no other driver came close. When it came to perfection, when it came to having everything in order, Michael Schumacher was a driver that every team wanted. That kind of a reign of being the undisputed best driver for more than a decade, no driver has been able to get that done. Be it Lewis Hamilton, be it Fernando Alonso, Be it Fangio, be it Senna, be it Prost, be it anyone, no driver has been able to have a decade where they can say that they were the undisputed best driver on the grid and the most sought after as well. That's the kind of level at which Michael Schumacher operated, and that's the kind of dominance that he had. Other than this, there are of course many other reasons why, in my view, he is the greatest of all time. But that's not the point. The point is to talk about how Michael Schumacher's legacy, even in 2023, grows bigger day by day with every Ferrari failure. That driver went to a team that had not been successful for more than 15 years when he joined the team. And since he has retired, that team has not been successful for more than 15 years. That was the team, a team that has been a perennial underperformer. That was the team he turned into a world championship winning juggernaut. That's what made Michael Schumacher the greatest of all time. And that is the kind of legacy that cannot be denied. So, yeah, these were my views. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that Michael's legacy grows bigger with every Ferrari failure? Do let me know in the comment section. Thanks for watching and see you next time.